Welcome back to a Friday night edition of Straight Facts here, the home of the Football Terrace, joined as ever by Jessica Black. How are you?
I'm good.
I know.
I was told not to say my intro thing again.
It's a boring joke now. It's a boring,
because it's not a
joke.
It's an actual request.
It's really boring now.
It's not a joke.
We know, but it's
I
boring.
want an intro.
It's really, really boring. Lots to talk about today. People, the Premier League returns. Will Arsenal go 9 points from 9? A new bid for Antony from Man United after securing the services of one of the best DMs in world football. We're talking about that on the show today. And kind of rating and looking at Manchester United's kind of transfer window so far and stuff like that. So we're taking a bit of a delve into that. We're also going to be looking at Aubameyang, Fofana to Chelsea. Where's that going to propel Chelsea to? I've got an opinion on that, and we're going to share it with you. And whatever other questions you've got for us, feel free to send them in. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you and all that jazz. But starting off today, Casemiro is now signed. I know you spoke about it yesterday on the top 6, but Man United player, £50 million fee up front, £300,000 a week in salary, 4-year deal. 24 hours later, how are you feeling about Man United's business there?
I mean, I guess my opinion hasn't really changed on Casemiro at all. I think he's a world-class player with world-class success. He's won almost everything in the game that you can possibly win. He's a serial winner. He's just a really, really good player. He's beyond good. But I don't know. I can't get over the idea that this is not just why even go for Rabiot if you could have gotten Casemiro? I think it's more just a matter of, is this the same old Manchester United doing the same old things? But Casemiro is he walks straight into that Manchester United team and is the exact DM that I personally thought Manchester United needed. Now, if Ten Hag had been okay, well, we need a Frankie de Jong type, DM, that would have been it. It is what it is. Whatever the manager wants is what the manager wants. But I do still feel like Casemiro is the exact type of DM that Manchester United need.
Yeah.
And you can have more than one type of DM. I think Danny in the details made a really good point that Eric Ten Hag has played in multiple different ways, with different teams. And so just because he played with Frankie de Jong one way doesn't mean that he can't play with Casemiro a different way. So it still could possibly work. Fred and Casemiro played together on the Brazilian national team, so there could be some continuity there. So I think it does improve the midfield and all of that. Bigger picture, there's questions to be asked about it, but short term immediacy, the time that he plays, he instantly makes you guys better, and he has the winning mentality. Maybe that'll help. You have to keep Ronaldo. You have Varane. Maybe having an additional player of that mindset will help this group get their shit together.
Yeah, look, I understand that. I do. I think when I look at there has to be question marks over this deal, in the sense of, is it the player that Manchester United really wanted?
Yeah.
Does he really want to be at Manchester United? The other thing I've really pushed back on socials today has very much been the thought and the feeling that at 30 he's too old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think £50 million is too much money for him. I'm seeing people go, 80 million, 90 million is too much. And where are you getting 80, 90 million? Well, if you include all these wages and all the bonuses, again, the £8 million of add-ons only comes into play if Man United make it into the Champions League. And if we're going to add his salary into it, you can do that for any player. Suddenly, Gabriel Jesus looks a lot more expensive than £45 million. So I'm really up for including the wages and the total cost of a player. But it means you have to do it to every single player out there, not just Manchester United players and whatever else. So the age of the player and how much we're paying isn't an issue. It's whether he really wants to be here. And what I don't 100% trust is the stories that are saying he was always a target if we didn't get De Jong, because I don't trust. I want it to be true, but I don't trust Man United enough. But as the individual player coming in, how many attainable DMs in the world are better than him that we could have actually bought, that don't currently play for a rival that would never sell to us? The answer probably is none
Mhm.
who are established. Yes, you've got the likes of Casado that could get to this level, but the guy's played about 20 Premier League games. If we drop 50 million on him, the same people would say we're paying over the odds for an inexperienced player who, do you know if he can handle the pressure at Manchester United and whatnot? So, and that's fair from rivals. Rivals are meant to challenge, but from a
Mhm.
Man United fan point of view, we need to add some experience to this team to help Ten Hag in the short, as you say, in the short to medium term, 2 to 3 years, to try and establish his style, to bring some quality in, because playing McTominay or McFred at DM is suicidal.
Yeah, and let me just put this in perspective in terms of it's never really about the fee. For big teams, they can always pay the fee. They always, break it down into smaller pieces, whatever. They rarely ever pay like a big chunk up front. So it's never really about the fee. It's always about the wages. And as we've seen with Arsenal, with Chelsea, with Manchester United, having players on big wages that don't do well can be it can be hard to shift those players on if they don't do well or if you didn't have a plan for that player. Sometimes a player is just caught up in a bad moment with a club and then it just doesn't work out. And so if you have somebody like a Fernandinho, who I don't think Manchester City actually brought him in until he was like 29.
Yeah.
He was older, but they had the team that was already kind of put together. They already had their system. They were already ready to go. So he just fit straight in. And I don't think he was on the same level of wages as Casemiro. Casemiro comes on big wages. He can add that same level of stability and experience. But if Manchester United don't have a plan and they go through another cycle where they just kind of waste all this talent, then you get maybe 2 years down the line. And if he doesn't work out, you can't shift him on. That's the issue that's at hand, and that's more what it is. Doesn't have anything to do with Casemiro as a player. You cannot say that he's washed. Like, he's
And
not
Man
washed.
United fans would 100% agree with you on that. I think where Man United fans get annoyed, and there's banter, and then there's when people take banter to a serious level, because fans will banter each other, and then you'll get Gabby Abonglahor or another bang average pundit that will be on social media in the next couple of days, passing off fan banter as a genuine thought and feeling of you shouldn't be spending £50 million on a 30-year-old, when we all know if KDB today joined Real Madrid for £100 million, nobody would question it. If Virgil van Dijk signed for Man City today for £90 million, nobody would question it. And someone said to me earlier today, well, they're like top 2, top 3 players in their position in the world. They've had a team and a system built around them, so they would warrant that money. What's Casemiro been doing at Real Madrid for the past 6 or 7 years when the man picked up a man of the match performance in a Champions League final? He's been instrumental. He's kind of been the lesser of the 3 midfielders in this 5 Champions League era for them. Like Kroos and Modric have always been the stars, but players like the irony in it is United have been ridiculed for not having a player that does all the hard and dirty work. We get one, and suddenly it's like, but you need more. Yeah, we know we need more. Man United fans are not going, we're back, we're going to make top 4, we're going to win the league. It's just been a case of we're really happy with that deal.
But chests have been puffed out, though.
By who?
I've seen Manchester United fans out here with chests puffed out, bantering Liverpool fans because Casemiro plays over Fabinho in the national team. That is shame. To me, that's shameless. Like, let's just relax. Casemiro, great signing. It's not all that you need, but you can always be excited about an isolated signing, regardless of what's going on. But that's pretty shameless, like, to be bantering Liverpool fans because of a national team decision. Fred plays over Guimaraes, and we're not out here saying Fred is like better than anybody else, so there you go.
I mean, there's banter that comes with it. One of the other stories that's circulating today, people, and it's really important to look at, is Antony, another Brazilian, right-hand side of the attack. So far this summer, there's been a 50, 60, and an 80 million euros bid rejected. Man United are not walking away. Man United will be bidding again. 90 million euros is the expected amount. The player is now reportedly not going to start at the very least, but may not even be involved in the game on Sunday. He was training separately today. It feels for me, it feels a little bit ominous that he could be on his way out. When players train separately, when they're not in starting lineups, and you're very close to the acceptable bid already. They said between 80 and 100 million they wanted. United might go somewhere in the middle of 90 million euros. He could be on his way into Man United as well. But is £90 million for a player at his stage of his career? Ironically, a world-class DM at 30 with 4 or 5 years left, he's won 5 Champions Leagues, is too expensive. So I assume paying in pounds, we're probably talking about £75 million for a young up-and-coming player with his future ahead of him. Is that bad business for Man United?
I mean, Manchester United are always going to spend big fees on players. I think that that's just the fabric of the club and how things are done. And so I'm not really surprised that if Ten Hag is really desperate to bring in Anthony, this is a fee that they're willing to pay. Is Anthony worth the fee that Manchester United are going to end up paying? No, but this is similar to the Anthony Gordon conversation that we had the other day. The market dictates its supply and demand. There's a very small supply of decent wingers out there on the market. Once Dembele and Rafinha signed their lives away to Barcelona, there really wasn't much out there beyond that. So everybody that's left over is going to have a markup on their price. And so if Manchester United are willing to pay that, then fair enough. We all know he's not worth anywhere near that. I think he's a good, flashy, young Brazilian player that definitely needs some refining, and Ten Hag could probably get that out of him because he knows him well. But he's just one of those where I think he's just gonna have that big fee on his head as well, and when you come in, you can let me know if you think that this is a factor or not, but when you're a young player coming in from, like, the Eredivisie or a league where you're really dominant, then you come to the Premier League, you're gonna be playing against good
Mm.
defenders, you're 80 million pound Antony, 80 million pound Antony, then do you envision that maybe becoming something that holds him back? It's Manchester United, it's a huge fee, it's a big step up.
75 million pounds is a lot of money. It is. There's pressure that comes with that. Rivals will be on him, just like with look at Martinez has gone through.
Mhm.
I've never seen the level of scrutiny over a defender as we've seen with Martinez, and he's not like he was a record-breaking fee either. It was a fairly nominal fee in the modern day era of like highly rated centre backs.
Mhm.
But you saw guys saw it with Ben White. His first game against Brentford, he got a little bit cooked, and that was it. There we go. And that's the nature of football now. That is where we're at. That's what goes on. We're in a situation where if Anthony doesn't score a brace day one or assist a goal, people are on him, on him, on him, on him. So he's got to be able to handle that pressure. Do I think we're overpaying? Probably by about 15 to 20 million pound. But when you look at our opening few games and how bad Sancho is, how bad Rashford is, we need to spend money. And Real
Mm.
Madrid, not Real Madrid, Ajax are going to string us out to dry on this. However, though, this everything is double edged. If he ends up coming in and delivering, no one's going to care. And that's how you shut the critics up when it comes to the cost of you as a player, is you go and deliver. Ben White is my example here. Ben White cost 50 million pound and football laughed. I feel, in fairness, I wasn't like the majority of Arsenal fans. I actually thought it was a good piece of business
Mhm.
last year. And he went on to prove to everybody, I know he's the guy that's been moved to right back right now. But that's because he's that good a football player that he can be moved out there and not become a hindrance. You couldn't put Gabriel at left back, is what I'm saying, right? Gabriel at left back would be a disaster. But Ben White proved that he is worth the 50 million investment. He hasn't paid the whole 50 million back with one season, but there is there's more development to come and there's a big high ceiling for him. So if Anthony comes in and is scoring, assisting, influencing games, keeping Man United further up the football pitch, helping Eric Ten Hag instill his philosophy, then he will pay it back. No one ever speaks about Bruno Fernandes's 67 million pound cost because of all the goals and the assists and the games that he won us when he arrived. So what these players have got to do is come in and make a difference, come in
Yeah.
and change the game for us. And that's where the real worry should be for Man United fans. It shouldn't be the price tag. It's whether or not they actually work. It's whether or not the Glazers continue with this process and allow Man United to develop a style of play to weed all the deadwood out. And this takes 2 to 3 years when you are in a systematic hole, when you are absolutely finished at the elite level as we are. It's going to take time. So that's why you need to buy. But the market's skewed anyway. If Gibbs White is 44 million pounds, I then look at someone like Antony and think, well, he's not massively overpriced. I know he's doing it in the Eredivisie, but Gibbs White's been in the Prem 4 or 5 years. He ain't done it. I don't remember one game he's had in the Premier League, Gibbs White, where on Match of the Day or on Sky Sports or BT Sports or on social media, somebody's gone, did you see Gibbs White today?
Yeah.
It hasn't happened once, and he costs 44 million. So that's where the market is right now, as far as I'm concerned. And we are paying slightly over the odds. The more frustrating thing for me as a United fan is, well, why have we been acting all summer like we haven't got money and suddenly we're now paying? Like, we should have bought these players weeks ago. And that kind of brings us to the poll that's out right now. We've got a poll. It's already out on Twitter. We're about to launch it on YouTube as well. And it's looking at the players that Man United are heavily linked with right now. And I want to get this up on our screen so we can see it here. But there is a feeling that Man United could end this window with Antony, Casemiro, Malacia, Dest, Eriksen, Martinez. 6 new players.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, and viewers, I want your take on that as well. You've obviously seen the poll. How would you rate that window out of 10 for Man United?
Well, everybody has a different rating system when we talk about transfers, right? I remember Neeks and I kind of talking about this as well, and it's about what did you lose? Did you fill in those gaps? You know, do these players lift the ceiling of the team? Did you address those right areas and speed?
Yeah.
You know, that's a big one. And I think this window had been the players that you guys brought in before the season had started, then this would be looked at as a very, very good window. 9, maybe. I mean, what haven't you actually addressed in that window besides maybe a striker or something like that? But you got Antony, right? If you can keep Ronaldo, then you're probably fine there. So I think when you look at it, it's probably on face value, maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10. But you have to really just ding it because you've already had like the embarrassment of the first 2 games. These players are going to take a while to acclimate to the league and get together and all that kind of stuff. There's already been that embarrassment. And then on top of that, like I know from firsthand, being an Arsenal fan, is you don't get your players in on time and you lose those first couple of games. That could be the difference between, you know, being in Europa League or Champions League or whatever. So I do think that I would rate it probably like a 6.5 based on that. But I mean, you have to be excited about that, right? Those are like all the players that you want. Like, what would you kind of rate?
You've got left back, right back, better than what we've got, in my opinion. Or Malacia, he's got the potential to be better than what we've got. Dest is better than Delo, and he's better than AWB, especially going forward. Eriksen, very happy with. I still think Martinez is going to do. I feel Martinez, the scrutiny he's got in his opening 2 games, I've kind of watched both games back and been like, he's been a little bit physically bullied, but I think he'll be okay. We know how good Casemiro is. We've just, like, I don't even want to get gassed about it, but we've just signed one of the best DMs in the world, and we're in the mud. It's amazing. Antony, again, very exciting prospect. If we'd have had all these players in 3 to 4 weeks ago, I'd have probably given it an 8.5 out of 10 because you've got a DM in the team, you've added some extra creativity, you've got a ball-playing centre-back, 2 marauding fullbacks. We want to use that, and then we've addressed again that right-hand side of the attack. I remember a lot of Arsenal fans in the opening part of the window saying to me, "You've got to just This is what's funny, but when we were linked with De Jong, a lot of Gooners, especially like the Tactico Gooners, you know those Tactico guys, they were like, if you don't address the right-hand side in the DM position, you've had a dead window. If we pull this off, which is on the poll now, we've completely addressed the right-hand side and DM elements. I'm expecting to see the Arsenal Tacticos give this a fairly good score out of 10 in terms of the quality we've brought in. But I'm marking it down to like a 7 if we pull these players in because of the timing.
Mm-hmm.
The Glazers have done this. The Glazers have stopped this from happening. The Glazers have, and some will say, well, Ten Hag wanted to wait for De Jong. Yes, but that's where the football club needs to be run right, and you've got to get your ducks in a row to turn around. And maybe somebody at the club should have gone, listen, we've tried De Jong. We're not that confident. It's going to take another 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can come back in from 6 to 8 weeks, but let's go and address that midfield area anyway with somebody else, and we'll see what happens with it. Jurgen Klopp's been told no before. You know, and it's worked out brilliantly for them. It's about getting the balance right. And what fans think in the here and now is irrelevant because we don't have access to what's actually going on. We only learn things with hindsight, and then our opinion changes. Fans get called flip-flops all the time, but football fans should be flip-flops because we don't get given the information sometimes until after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Man United fans would feel more relaxed about Casemiro if we'd have known 5 weeks ago that Casemiro is a alternative option to De Jong. We wouldn't be feeling like this is a panic buy right now, as an example. So we'd feel more relaxed. There'd be less pressure. But I'd probably give that window a 7 out of 10. And look, I've already mentioned Antony. I know a lot of people are tuning in asking what's going on with Antony. There is reports of a new £90 million bid, £75 million going in. Bringing in Antony, Dest, Casemiro in this last period is very good business. But on paper, it's very good. However, the timing of it is what really frustrates me.
The one thing that's going to be really interesting is once this window is shut, and if you had maybe gotten all of these players in, how difficult is it going to be for Manchester United fans to keep up the Glazers out? If you start looking a little bit better, you get excited about the players coming in. They put out the new content around the players. You want to get your Man United TV going so you can watch all of that stuff. That's kind of like where you're going to actually really see if Glazers out is a thing or not. Because I know as a fan, I get really excited when new players come in. I expect this Old Trafford to still be full. I think people will forget because they feel like they've had a good window and they want to see these players play, win a couple of games, and Glazers out goes right into the dirt.
Absolutely right. I fear that Man United fans will get caught up in the transfer hype. I feel that the match going fans are so important here because they're in the ground. And I think if people are in the stadium and they're doing a walkout, there's talk of a 17-minute walkout. There's actually talk on Monday of a 17-minute pitch invasion to get the game called off. And if Man United fans do that, as long as they do not, and I implore Man United fans on Monday, if you invade that pitch to get the game called off, I clap you. If you go near a single Liverpool player or a single Man United player or a single Liverpool or Man United staff member manager and do anything stupid, the whole Glazer out movement ends because people will no longer back what you're doing. You need to remain. You can invade the pitch. That on paper that's illegal, but it's one of those laws like jaywalking. No one's going to judge you for doing it. No one's going to think you're bad people for doing it. Don't hurt any of the Liverpool players. Don't hurt any of your own players, staff, or anything like that. But if Casemiro gets unveiled before the game, clap him because Casemiro needs to be supported. Ten Hag needs to be supported. I've been saying this on social for so long, Jess. Like, Man United fans always turn on the wrong people. We turn on the players, we turn on the managers, we turn on coaches, we turn on each other. Instead of focusing on the only problem the club has got, and that's the people that run us. You know, as I've been saying for days, if somebody wants to come on the terrace and debate me that they're not the biggest problem, and they beat me in a debate, and how you beat me in a debate is by making me turn into a stumble bum where I can't talk and I can't debunk what you've said, I will pay them live on air. In fact, I want to set the show. I didn't want to announce this until now. I'm going to do it. We are going to set a show up in my studio. I'm going to take £30,000 of cash out of the bank and put it into one of those see-through briefcases. And you can turn up at the studio and you can debate me. You can debate me. And if you can prove to me they're not the biggest issue at the club, you will walk away with that 30 grand cash in your hand. That is how confident I am. I'm sick and tired of hearing people on TalkSport, Sky Sports, BT Sports defend these people. They indoctrinate and gaslight the Manchester United fans. So on your point around could this dampen the Glazer out movement? It absolutely could. Because what you'll get is I'm not going to name any name, but you get a massive BT Sports presenter, you get an ex-Man United player, you'll get an ex, a Sky Sports guy come out and say, well, listen, the Glazers have actually come out and backed the football club here. They've backed the manager by buying players. It's all down to the manager now. Absolutely not. The culture of the football club, the standards of the football club, eradicating player power, all of these things matter just as much. And if Man United fans roll over and let their bellies be tickled over some of these signings look excellent, and that's great. But signing excellent players at Man United is a prerequisite. Mm-hmm. It's a prerequisite. It's like someone going, oh, you're a really good dad, Terry. Oh, why am I a good dad? You buy your kids food. Well, the law states I must feed them. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're a really good dad. You give your kids cuddles. Yes, that's what love is. Like that I don't need to be praised for that.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like Man United's owners spending Man United's money on very good football players does not require praise. That is a prerequisite, a standard action every single which way. And for me, any Man United fan that rolls over and has any Man United fan that goes and buys a Casemiro shirt, though, I got a problem with. Any Man United fan who buys a ticket for Monday, if you're doing it to go in to walk out, I kind of get it to a degree. To a degree,
they know. Well, they may walk out depending on the score.
Well, that's it.
This is kind of like the perfect game because if you guys are but see, this is the game that you guys will be playing decent, and people will be like, that 17-minute will go by, and like I forgot all about it.
I don't want to leave, but then the Glazers will sit there going, "We're winning, we're winning, we're winning," and that's my kind of biggest fear with it. But yeah, the Glazer out movement has to continue.
Yeah.
Listen, if we were to sign Dest, Casemiro, and Antony in the space of a few days, the Man United fan in me would be happy with that because that's going to help this manager.
Yeah.
And as much as listen, there's so many things. Someone said to me the other day, if it meant getting the Glazers out, would you take relegation? The answer is yes. If I knew at the end of it they were leaving, I would pick that as an option. I don't though. I don't know if they would go. It's not. It's a hypothetical. So I want us to win. I want us to improve. I want us to be better. But I am scared the Glazer out movement will fade. Just as I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when all the Super League stuff was going on, 2 or 3 days after, like, I remember it was during the Chelsea protest that it was announced that Woodward was going to resign. The United were pulling out of it as well. Within 24 hours of that, everybody started focusing on Ollie out again. And all I tweeted was, because everybody was saying, do you remember that football's dead, Super League's going to kill football. And I just tweeted saying, clearly football isn't dead. 2 days after Man United pull out of the, after Man United pull out of the Super League, everybody's already back to Ollie in, Ollie out as we were. And I was getting cooked by Ollie outers essentially that were like, oh, the fan page has got to become united. How dare you come out and say this? Well, because you guys only cared about getting rid of the only problem at the football club because the Super League was on and it was what was fashionable. As soon as that was gone, no one cared about the Super League anymore. All you man focused on was getting Ollie back out the football club. I will say this, and I want unity, and I will work with any YouTube content creators. I'll work with anybody that wants to get involved with this. But Man United fans that were Ollie in, Ollie out, Jose in, Jose out, and that's what they focused on. You're part of the problem. Now, you can change and become Glazers out only, but I do get this feeling that, we sign the right players and we don't improve on the football pitch. Those people will be very easily swayed into Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. And if that happens, Glazers are going nowhere. They're going absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens during the Liverpool game. I think you will see how serious people are there because it's important for you guys to stick together. And like, I know I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't want to see you guys get taken over. Like, I'd prefer Glazers to stay in. But just in general, like, you got to be serious for 5 minutes. I still see people like United fans trying to, banter and stuff like that. Your club is not operating as one of the biggest clubs in the world should operate, and that should make you really sad and turn on the Glazers. I mean, they really haven't done much for you guys, but just throw you guys into the dirt. And so, and it's difficult because I know that Arsenal fans are very similar. They can be very easily persuade over a couple of nice signings and a couple of shirts, and then all of a sudden we're back to the games.
Yeah,
You know
a
what I mean?
lot of your people now talk about the Cronkies like they're some of the best owners in the league, and it's like you've had a good 12 months after a terrible almost 2 decades. But that shouldn't be enough to make. I was saying earlier on today, even if we won the Premier League this year, still Glazers out. I'm talking years of sustained excellence on and off the pitch for me to even consider saying thank you to them, let alone thinking they're good owners. We've got some super chats here. The first one says, keep telling yourself Casemiro is going to be a good signing, Terry. It's peak entertainment. Sancho, Bruno, Varane, Ronaldo, Cavani, Slabhead still haven't learned. Well, I didn't say it was going to be a good signing. All I've stated is I don't think his age is a factor. Ten Hag, you tried hard there, my friend, but you absolutely done yourself. Sheena, is that you?
No, that's somebody who watched my show.
Oh, thank you for becoming a member of the Football Terrace. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Terry, even if Man United buy Frankie de Jong and Antony, I don't care. Glazers need to go. Glazers got spooked and opened their checkbook trying to buy support. I think it's a fair point. I don't think anyone's going to kind of challenge you on that. Shane, thank you very, very much. And the Welsh Man United fan, all for becoming official members of the Terrace. It means a great deal. There is actually an exclusive video up right now for members on the community page of the Terrace. Myself and Jess talking about Man United problems there. No one else has seen it. Only Football Terrace members can.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. So go check it out. We're doing more of them and more of them and more of them. Casemiro is world-class signing under a good regime. That for me is the most perfect way to look at it. Great player, but needs to be at a club that's run well. If they are bidding 100 million for Antony, why not Neymar? Neymar doesn't want to join Man United. I mean, that's the first point. Neymar would say no to Man United. Personally, one of the reasons I didn't want Rabiot, one of the reasons I didn't want Arnautovic, and by the way, I'm not comparing their abilities to Neymar's, is why were we adding more problem players? Why are we adding people that I look at Neymar as a little bit of a toxic soul. I'll be honest with you, and this is going to be a controversial point. right now, as it stands, for love nor money, I wouldn't sign Mbappe either. The way that geezer shoulder barged Messi. Disgrace. Forget the counter attack where he threw his arms in here and walked away like a petulant little brat. The man shoulder barged Messi. For me, that like in every sport, and I don't watch a lot of other sports. You know, if John Jones is in the octagon, if Conor McGregor's in the octagon, if Anderson Silva's in the octagon, no matter how you think about them, you pay them respect. Michael Jordan, LeBron James on the basketball court, no matter who you think you are, you ain't on their level ever. When it comes to football, Ronaldo, Messi, so Bobby Charlton, Zidane, when you're around those football players, I don't care who you are, where you're from, you do nothing but respect them. To shoulder bars Messi like that, and people think I'm just saying it for effect. I would be annoyed if we signed him right now, because that for me is a ticking time bomb of arrogance waiting to happen. Now I know some people are going to call me and go, "Well, what is it about him you think's arrogant?" Barging into Messi in that way, I think it's a disgrace, personally. Disgrace.
I mean, I said it, like, giving him the keys to PSG was always gonna create something like this, so I'm not surprised he's doing any of the things that he's doing. That video that I saw of him sulking because they didn't pass him the ball, I mean, it is going to be it's really a shame because they're doing a lot of good work transfer-wise and stuff, but he may derail all of that with his nastiness, like, it's just
if he continues down this path, he will never achieve great. Some people always say he's won a World Cup, he's great. No, he doesn't sit on the same dining table yet as Messi, Ronaldo, Zidane. You know, those greats, the Van Bastens of this world, the Ronaldinhos, the Paul Scholeses, the absolute creme, the Thierry Henrys. He doesn't sit on their table because you have to. It's about your whole career, what you've achieved from start to finish. And for the early parts, he has done everything, barring, of course, win a Champions League, and he hasn't won a major league title yet. He needs to go to one of the big leagues. But if this becomes part of his character, like I'm bigger than everybody, that was one of the reasons why Messi and Ronaldo became so good. Although there was a self-belief, their kind of arrogance didn't come in until they're walking around with 4 or 5 Ballon d'Ors in their bag. And then there's okay, you've earned that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I worry about him. I worry about players like that. So to your super chat, why not Neymar? Listen, people think I'm going to be stupid. That only ability merchants think what I'm saying stupid. People, again, look at what Ten Hag has come out and said today in his press conference about how do we respond. Every word was attitude, work rate, digging in deep,
playing for the badge.
So they use all these phrases, but even the most technically gifted managers and players, when you ask them about themselves, speak about what's going on in here before they speak about the physicality.
Yeah.
You listen to what Anthony Joshua has been talking about all week. You listen to what Usyk's been talking about all week. They're not speaking about their ability. They're speaking about their mindset, how hard they work, the dedication. Every sports person worth their salt speaks about the mental side on a ratio of 5-1, 10-1 when it comes to their actual ability. So, yeah, I worry about players like that. I really, really do. And I say worry because they're so talented.
Yeah.
The wages are very performance incentive, which is good. But the long term, it could be an issue if they don't build around him.
That was like my only point with that is that like you just have to know what you're doing. You can always bring in players like this in your team. We've seen it before. It's just about don't waste it. I think that's what it is. Don't waste it because then it ends up being an albatross around your neck.
What around your neck?
An albatross.
I know what an albatross is. I've never heard that expression. Is that an LA thing?
No. Yeah, you haven't heard that before?
I mean, that's a big seagull.
It's kind of like a weight around your neck.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that before. That would be a big weight. Like albatrosses are massive.
Yeah.
Super chat here says, does Jess prefer London or Los Angeles?
LA, 100%. Like,
is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, London is cool. Like, but LA
yes,
is...
we were leaving the studio yesterday and we went to Stratford. I saw your face light up though, even though you're not a West Ham fan, because all the West Ham fans were coming out. You heard
you act like I've never been here and I've never seen.
You've never seen that?
Yes, I have.
No,
I've been to the Emirates before and everything.
No, I said you haven't seen proper football fans before. Like that was tourists at the Emirates. I'm talking about like real die-hard football fans that. I'm winding you up. I don't get why Chelsea are choosing Aubameyang over CR7. Well, that brings us on nicely to the next major talking point of the show, to be fair. Chelsea are offering 16 million plus 4 million of add-ons pounds. This is around 20 million pounds for Aubameyang. Fabricius kind of played it down like personal terms are almost agreed, but he also said today personal terms won't be a problem. So if personal terms are not a problem, that means they're agreed. Aubameyang is happy to join Chelsea. Real Madrid want about 22, 23 million. Chelsea are offering 20 million, but it does feel like it's very close to an agreement. This is here, though. Don't get why Chelsea are choosing Aubameyang over CR7. Do you get why they're picking Aubameyang over CR7?
Wages. I mean, have you seen Cristiano Ronaldo's wages? I know Aubameyang loves money too, but like you could probably get away with 100. No, yeah, closer to like 175, something like that for him. You can't get away with that with Cristiano Ronaldo. Aubameyang, I've said it before. Like I think he's the right. If you can't get your first choice, we know Chelsea's been kind of looking around for players this window. But if you can't get your first choice, you can do a lot worse than bringing in Aubameyang on like a shorter term deal. I also saw something about them giving around 15 million pounds plus Alonso. Kill two birds with one stone. I do think that this is the best case scenario for Chelsea in this window at this moment because they desperately need somebody to finish those chances.
Yeah.
And as much as I know, like he struggles in build up, he's not a great link player. So you're not going to get what you get from Kai Havertz in terms of being able to come deep and like, help facilitate build up or anything like that. But what he's going to do is make sure he's not going to miss those sitters. As long as he has a lot of chances, which most strikers do, it's very rare that you find strikers that can survive off of one or two chances a game. If you provide a lot of chances for Aubameyang, he is going to put those away. So I do think that this is probably as good as it gets for Chelsea. And I mean, if that's the worst that you can do, that's not bad at all, isn't it? It's Aubameyang. Like I really do think people are playing this down. I know Chelsea fans want more, but Aubameyang is really a good player.
Listen, I think I've said it so many times. Aubameyang is going to score a lot of goals for them. I also feel like Aubameyang comes in. He's got the bit between his teeth. Arsenal fans written him off. He went to Barca and started killing it. And I think there'll be an element of him. And this is what I would be pulling on as a Chelsea fan. Look, we're going to pay you well. You're going to be in the Champions League. You're going to be the leading striker for us for a year or two. But you also get to stick it. You also get to stick it to all the gooners that say you're past it. And there is a motivation in that. We know that motivates people. We've all signed players that have been at other people's clubs. Don't get it twisted. There would have been at some point an element of Mo Salah at Liverpool thinking, I'll show Chelsea how wrong they were. KDB, but when he retires, he'll tell you, when I came back, I really wanted to show Chelsea they were wrong. These things exist within people, and I think Aubameyang will have an element of that. And I've said, I did a video earlier on today when Fabrizio confirmed the personal terms. It feels fairly imminent. I think it's a great piece of business. And Chelsea fans have got to relax because a lot of credible journalists are also saying it is only stopgap. They are going to look at the likes of Nkunku, Liao next summer when they're available. So this isn't it now for the next however many years. It's going to cost you £20 million. If he will score them across all comps, 20 goals this season, I think. I really think he'll score 20 goals. And whether it's just putting loads of balls in the back of the net against the bottom 10, 12 teams, that's still going to yield points. That's still going to be enough. But I think Aubameyang's a very, very good signing indeed. And I do kind of look at it and think him, Fofana, looks like that's going to happen. Like he's not going to play this week. They keep saying he hasn't handed in a transfer request, but then he's agreed personal terms elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where even the best journalists in the world do the PR thing, or they protect their own thing. If you agree personal terms with another football club, that is handing in a transfer request.
Yeah.
Whether it's an official one or not doesn't matter. You don't agree to. You know what I mean? If your other half agrees to move in with another person, they're leaving you. They might not have told you they're leaving you, but they're leaving you. Like it's gonna happen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like same difference. But I think if Fofana and Aubameyang come in, I'm readjusting my predictions.
Yeah, I probably won't adjust my predictions too much because they still need a midfielder as far as I'm concerned. Conte out, and you look at Kovacic, he's not really a creative player to me. And like I know Chelsea fans will probably say, "Oh, you're just saying whatever." No, I think he's good at keeping the ball. But he's not really a creative player. And if you're only going to play with two midfielders, if they can shut down your wing backs, which is really hard because Reece James and Chilwell are quite good and Cucurella as well. But if they shut down that creative outlet, your midfielders need to be able to do some, And you have Conte, you have Jorginho, and you have Kovacic, and you have Mount that kind of plays in there. So I still think they need something else in order to make sure that Aubameyang gets the chances that he needs. Like, he's going to need chances. That's the thing about Aubameyang. If you don't provide him with chances, he's basically like a non-factor out there. So I think without the midfielder, I'm just looking at it. And even with Fofana, like, I think he's great, but at the same time, it's like Sterling, I do think makes a difference. I think Aubameyang makes a difference, but there just has to be a midfielder that comes in. That's just my take on it. But, Aubameyang, great signing for them. I think he will score a lot of goals, especially like you said, against like the lower levels.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'd say about Chelsea, something that's overlooked, is since Thomas Tuchel's arrived, no team in the Prem has created more chances than them. Now, XG isn't a statistic I take particularly seriously because they assess a chance for Aubameyang, and Lewandowski and Benteke from the same position on the pitch, the same angle, as being the same chance of it being scored, which is a nonsense because Lewandowski's GA will always be higher than the other two because he has more ability to score from there. So GA takes out the person who's got the chance. No one's creating more chances in the league than Chelsea. So I do think they will be able to create an abundance of chances. I think what was happening a lot, and it still happens a lot, when you've got strikers that are not putting the ball in the back of the net, I think what it can create is sometimes a reluctancy. There was a cross when we watched the game together, that cross from Raheem Sterling where Mount's at the far post and then he comes into the middle. Those are the types of things where I think Aubameyang eats. That was against Tottenham. So I do think it's a good signing. I do get your point, though. I think you are right. Midfielder may have to be added to this. And listen, De Jong's still on the. They throw De Jong into this. I mean, I'm talking about a potential title challenge. That's the difference in this team. But I think with Aubameyang and Fofana, I would readjust my predictions just to say, look, I think Arsenal are going to be great. We're going to move on to them later on in the show. But I think if they sign Aubameyang, I put Chelsea then finish ever so slightly in front of Arsenal just because they've suddenly got more goals in a team that didn't have goals last week, if that makes sense. However, you guys go and sign this secret winger and another midfield player, my feeling could change again. Does that make sense? And that's the thing with early season predictions. You don't know what's going to happen in the next month when it comes to the transfer window, which I think is key. But Chelsea are doing bits. And the thing I find most funny is all the people that were acting like Chelsea were going to be finished with these new owners. They could spend £250+ million this summer. And I don't really feel like they've made a bad signing yet.
I don't know. I don't feel the same.
Really?
I don't feel as deeply about it as you do. I think they've made some good signings, but no more better than anybody else. I think most teams have had the same level of transfer business. And so in the past, Chelsea had been able to overspend and outspend everybody else. But this summer, Raheem Sterling, Koulibaly, those are great signings. But I look at just what everybody else has done, and I just feel like we're all kind of in the same category. Like, I really just don't see that much of a. Maybe for you, it's about maybe adding Chelsea into the group of teams that have already been doing well in the transfer window. I don't think that they've done anything particularly special as of yet.
So I think Raheem Sterling and Koulibaly are special as an example. However, though, what I'm more talking about is people that said they are done. The Roman era is over. They're over. They're not ready for the start of the season. They're going to be awful this year. Spurs fans predicting 10, 15 point gaps between the two of them. Arsenal fans, not all, not you, but most that I speak to will be clear of Chelsea this year. But talking about Chelsea like they're not even relevant, like they don't deserve respect. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not suggesting that they've had the greatest window since sliced bread, but people all you were on the streams. That's it. It's over now for Chelsea. They're going to go back to being a dead club. Dead clubs don't sign Cucurella, Koulibaly, Raheem Sterling, Aubameyang, potentially Frankie de Jong. Dead clubs don't do that.
Yeah.
And look at the start of the season. Decent in their first game. If they had an Aubameyang in their side, they smash a potential title contender in Tottenham 3 or 4-0. Like, they absolutely destroyed them in terms of play in that game. And everybody was talking only 2 weeks earlier that Chelsea are not ready to kick a ball yet this season. Namely because you guys destroyed them in pre-season. And they did look bad in that game. but they're looking good, and they'll win this weekend, in my opinion, and they will have 7 points from 9, and they've already played one of the big teams, and they haven't even added all their players yet. Like, I think Chelsea are going to be dangerous for people this year, and I think a lot
Potentially,
of people have been writing them off. Strange. I don't even get why. It doesn't even make any logical sense to me.
I mean, maybe because some people are just not convinced by this team. I know that Chelsea are always good, but we're talking about a different level. Chelsea cannot just be always living this life of, well, we're better than Spurs and Arsenal. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have been better than Spurs and Arsenal for a while, but it's about penetrating the Liverpool and Man City, that top two. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, I get that you guys are good, but can you get to that next level? And that's pretty much where I think people are kind of like, okay, well, are they more than a cup team? Can they sustain something over a 38 game period? Can they do this? Can they do that? So I think it's just more that than anything. They're always good, but can they be great? And can they really close that gap between like them and Man City and Liverpool? Because for a minute, it has just been, well, we're better than Spurs and Arsenal. Well, now Spurs and Arsenal have done good business.
Yeah.
I know that they were way better than Spurs, but they always beat Spurs.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's a matter of, can they do what's necessary to get them to that next level? Because I don't think this season being almost 20 points back from those top two teams is going to make people feel like, well, they were good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with that notion. Like, for me, this is my last season where I give Arsenal a. When I say pass, I'll explain what I mean by pass. But when you're Chelsea, every Premier League season that you're not in a title race is a failure. Liverpool, failure. City, failure. Man United, failure. Arsenal, in reality, every season in the title race is a failure. But what I mean by giving Arsenal a pass is, this is the last season, based on what you've spent, the hype around the club, what everyone says about your manager, the players you've got, where you can't be in a title race, and it's mildly acceptable. If you guys progress again this year, finish where I think you're going to finish, be as good as I think you're going to be, going into next season, it's you're in a title race or you've had a bad season. That's when you're an elite level football club. Those are the standards. If Chelsea sign these players and they're not in a title race, I don't care if they come second. If they come second, but they're 30 points behind Liverpool or City that win the league, they've had a bad season. Because when you spend the amount of money we all spend, the only commodity is trophies. Players, listen, you can score all the goals in the world. But every great player that I've ever seen interviewed, when they're spoken about, your personal stats and personal this, personal that. Yeah, but give it. Listen, if you turn around to Cristiano Ronaldo and say, give up all your Ballon d'Ors to have 2 more Champions League trophies, he'd take that. He would. A lot of people go, nah, no way. He would. Winning those actual trophies matters more. When you've got the trophies, then you can go, right, I want the personal ones as well, because then it's like the trophies, the personal accolades, I can be considered the greatest. But every footballer, Steven Gerrard would give up being called Liverpool's greatest ever player to have 1 Premier League trophy.
Hold on really quick. I see people in the chat saying that you're checking me somehow. How? He just agreed with everything that I just said, that Chelsea have to be in a title race. That's exactly what I said. What did you say that was different than what I said?
Just think, I obviously know.
Well, you used Arsenal as an example, which we both agree that Arsenal need to be.
No.
But you didn't actually shut me down, did you?
I'm not trying to shut you down.
Yeah, but you agree.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah, you're agreeing.
I'm agreeing that, in the sense of, look, I think I don't feel like we're on a different wavelength. Maybe the viewers are hearing this differently. My view is this. I think writing Chelsea off as a dead club now is dumb. Equally, though, Chelsea don't have a good season unless they're challenging for a title. But that's because the standard Chelsea are at in terms of what they've, where they're at. And by the way, that's where Man United should be. Man United could progress every season for the next 2 to 3 years to a point where we're ready to challenge. Overall, we're behind the curve. And the one thing I don't like that Man United and Arsenal fans do is they act like they shouldn't be in title races. No, you should. With your resources, with your history, with your money, with your pool, with the size of the stadium, not being in a title race still holds an element of embarrassment. Now, it doesn't mean you throw baby out with the bathwater and just go, right, we'll give up on everything and try and get a new manager. Arsenal are on the way back. But you can't spend what Chelsea are about to spend with the squad they've got on a world-class manager and not be in a title race. That's failure. And Arsenal were nearly at that point. And listen, the way Spurs fans are talking, Spurs have got this year with Conte. If they improve with Conte this year and go to another level, next year you challenge for a title or it's failure. That's just it. That's just football. That's
Yeah,
sport.
and I just think when you talk a lot, like Chelsea fans always feel like they're really clear of Arsenal and Tottenham. If you are, then you need to be clear of us. You can't just be sitting like 2, 3, 5 points up in front of us. You need to be in a title race because the way Chelsea fans talk is like they're in a completely different stratosphere. And I think in terms of like trophies and what they've done over the last 15 years, absolutely they are. But I'm just holding you to the standard that you guys put yourselves on. So that's all I'm saying. If you don't like that I'm saying that because
Yeah.
I'm an Arsenal fan, then I hold my club up in the same thing where I feel like we need to be getting towards 3rd, 4th, like making sure we're in Champions League and then progressing forward.
Exactly. I mean, this comment here says this conversation doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. The point of this conversation is with the squad Chelsea are amassing, I think it's brilliant. I don't think Chelsea are dead. I don't think Chelsea
Neither do
are
I.
in trouble. I don't think Chelsea are going backwards. Therefore, the only thing I expect from Chelsea is to challenge for a title. That's the only thing that makes their Premier League season good. Now, you can have a good overall season. If you come 3rd in the Premier League but don't challenge for the title and you win the FA Cup and you win the Champions League, you still had a very good season. That wasn't the point. So all top clubs that spend what the top 6 spend in the Prem, if you're not in a title race, you are underachieving. You can't all win it. Like you can't all win the league every year. So you've got to be in that title race. Let's go to some comments here. Terry, your hairline is gone already. Nah, bro. Do you know what it is? What happens is the hairline is absolutely fine. See that bad boy? But what happens is your hair continues to shed for like 18 months after you have it done. But your normal hair that didn't get planted continues to grow. So what's actually going on right now is the new hair is about 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter than the new hair coming through. So it looks patchy. It just takes time for it to all catch up. And then what happens again, another 3 months, my head sheds again. It looks kind of bald. It takes about 18 months after a hair transplant for your hair to look completely full and thick. But the fact that I had no hair here, look at that there. That was completely bald a few months ago. Looking great, my friend. Hate all you want, but you're wrong, my guy. Spending 50 million or 150 million, the top 6 should always be challenging no matter what. Within
it depends on context. You can't just strip it away. But
contextually, yes.
But what we did say is that Arsenal and Manchester United are always failing if they're not fighting for titles. So you know what I mean?
Arsenal right now, although they're improving, in the grand scheme of things, are failing because they're behind where a club like that should be with what you spent and the size and where you were. However, you're on the rise to it again, and that's where the context and nuance comes in. Signing any player at 30 is risky. A percentage diminish.
If you believe in age curves like that, then.
There's a nice comment about how you're looking there, Jess. As you
can see.
I can't read that.
Geriatrics
assemble. I like that. Jess, what's better out of the 3? LA, New York, or Miami? Now I know you don't like Florida and Florida. Miami's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
You're not fans. That's out.
Yeah, Florida is the armpit of the United States. It's the trash can. It's the worst place you can be. But I would have to say that like New York is probably slightly better than LA just because they have seasons. And so they take summer very seriously. So if you like rooftops and good restaurants and stuff like that, I do think
you like good restaurants?
Well, yeah.
You're a bit of a foodie.
Yeah, I try to be.
I'm just asking.
What are these questions?
Getting to know you.
Whatever.
I think Aubameyang is a yoked version of Arnautovic. What does yoked mean?
I just feel like I don't know what it means, but I feel like it's bad.
Yeah, it must be bad.
That's why I laughed.
Chelsea should be happy. United almost messed that. Arsenal fans seem to think because they got Arsenal tat. Let's say tat. Oh, an Arsenal tat on his arm. Aubameyang, he won't come. Ashley came. Anelka came. Seriously, know your place when talking about us. You're second for now. Do you really think he won't win with us? You're not elite.
Definitely said he's probably going to go. Said it was a good signing. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Super chat's always been a great deal. He's back actually here, my brother, and says, but keep writing us off though. I enjoy it because I know coming. Give a few months and we'll be banging on about the new owners.
But just make sure you're in a title race and you're not just talking about being better than Spurs and Arsenal. That's pretty much it. But thank you again for super chat.
Chelsea always win when people doubt them. I kind of agree with that. They did do very well in that case. Looking great, Terry. Love from New York. Listen, Brad, man, I know I'm looking. Actually, I'm a bit overweight at the minute because I've been enjoying myself recently. I need to get Monday. I'm back in the gym, working hard, back on the diet. I'm gonna do like a 3-month, like real hardcore thing. I'm gonna stop drinking. And when I say stop drinking, I don't have a drink problem because I like it, but it's just gonna hold back a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And eat good, eat a bit more lettuce and thing. Loads of meat though, loads of meat, loads of protein, bit of exercise. Can't wait. Make sure you're smashing like and share buttons for us on the terrace today. Let's get the likes up. I don't even know what the likes are on right now. What are they on now? If we hit, I'm going to be really generous tonight. If we hit 1,200 likes, I'm giving away 50 memberships for free to get smashing it. Why does Anthony Gordon deal get criticized when Arsenal paid 50 million for an unproven Fabio Vieira?
We played 30. But
Yeah,
thank
but
you.
no, but you've got to include the wages and agent fees and what you
No,
might pay him
I don't include it.
and what you might pay him in future and everything else. That's what they're doing to Casemiro. I'm not including you, Jess, is what Nav said there. Listen, Anthony Gordon. If Anthony Gordon was Antonio Gordinho, he'd be getting rated a lot more. It's just because he's got really weird blondie ginger hair. I'm telling you. But on Arsenal, I want to ask you about Arsenal, Jay, because and keep them super chats coming, please. Any questions you've got, please feel free to get them in.
Yeah.
Are Arsenal going to go 9-9? 9 from 9 this week. 3 wins from 3, 9 points from 9. Are Arsenal doing that?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do it. I think we're looking good. We're doing our thing. I would imagine. I mean, we need to go 9-9. Like we haven't played any teams where I feel like we should be dropping points yet. So we have to go away to Bournemouth. You look at their team, and I see some of the similar players that were there when they were last here. And unlike Fulham and Nottingham Forest, it's not like they did a madness in the window. So if we go there and we drop the ball, I'm gonna be super disappointed because this is the worst team that we will have played so far, and we've played so well. So yeah, I do think we're gonna do it. I predict a 3-0 win. But I would be really disappointed if we didn't do it because that's just silly at this point.
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of faith in Arsenal this year. A lot of faith in Arsenal. I think you've got a fantastically good team. I think you have a manager that's improved. You still need a few more signings for the season. I still feel. If I was a Gooner and you get to the end of this window and you don't sign that winger and you don't sign that midfielder, I'm not saying go as far as a Conky out protest, but it could be a case of hang on a minute. We get an injury or two, we're short. But when it comes to these teams now, I feel like Arsenal of old's coming back where these are the kind of games where rivals won't even watch anymore. Arsenal had a lot of viewing figures. It's a bit like Man United right now. Man United are so bad that Monday night's different because they're playing Liverpool, but when Man United play, because they're so bad, people tune in because they go, good chance here that they're going to get embarrassed and we get to laugh. You are going to find people are just going to be checking an Arsenal score on the apps, on a bit of who scored, on live score, the Sky Sports app, because I think Arsenal over the course of this season are going to show that these types of games are formalities for them.
We have to.
You're going to steamroll through these types of teams.
We have to, but we haven't had the low block test, and that's the test that I think we need more than anything. I don't think Crystal Palace sat in any sort of block against us. Leicester definitely didn't. They were wide open at the back. And I think if Bournemouth are smart, they'll sit back and try to counterattack us. And if they try to play expansive, we'll annihilate them. But if they sit in a low block, I think that'll be a good test to see where we actually are in terms of being patient, not panicking, because we've had situations like this before, home and away, where we haven't gotten the points because we couldn't pick the lock. And if we're not beyond that at this point, I don't want to hear anything about Champions League or anything. Champions League level teams have to be able to beat these low blocks because that's what you get at the bottom end of the table. So yeah, for me, it's a must win no matter what. If we don't, it's a failure. Like, come on, we should be beating Bournemouth, and they should go into that game feeling like they're gonna lose. That's what I need them to, we score an early goal and then they just deflate. Don't let them stay in it, so that's where I'm at, especially because I would like to see some other players play, like Fabio Vieira or ESR or something like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of we better not mess it up or else I'm gonna be really pissed.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to check, just breaking news. Fabrizio has tweeted now. He's kind of gone from earlier on saying personal terms might be a problem, to saying personal terms are almost agreed, to now saying personal terms agreed yesterday night. Told you early on today that they've agreed. Never distrust tier one tapping Terry. But yeah, with Arsenal, I agree. I think that's where you're at. I think that's what you're doing. I think that's the space that you're in right now. And as but per the title, I think that Arteta and Arsenal are going to shut a few more mouths
But
up.
what do you really think about Arteta? Because you've been really critical of him in the past, saying
Yeah.
that you don't think he's very good or you don't think he's good
didn't.
enough or
I
whatever.
didn't.
You said that you think he's improved. Do you actually think that or?
Once upon a time, I didn't think Tyson Fury was that good a boxer. I saw the guy punch himself in the face in a fight. Against lesser opponents, he was often just not quite at it. But every time he's come up against an elite fighter, he has just gone to another level. And it kind of shows me that he's more of an individual that he almost needs that challenge. I wasn't convinced with Mikel Arteta. And I'll always just speak how I feel. I don't care. People often talk about, oh, well, what about your credibility? I don't need credibility. I'm a content creator.
You have a blue tick.
It's not about having a blue tick. It's I will give my opinion in the here and now based on what I see, based on what I feel, based on the information that I've got. If something changes and someone improves, I'll change my mind. Too many people are hell bent on pushing agendas. We know this.
Yeah.
Look at some of the Arsenal tacticos at the minute. Their preference of football is not being played. So they try and spin it into, oh, Joe Bloggs in the Arsenal team is letting us down because he's not allowing Arteta's style to flourish. And it's like, well, no, Arteta isn't doing what you want. So instead of admitting you're wrong about how Arteta was going to play, you're like twisting it and trying to turn on a player that maybe is a slightly unpopular figure or not one of the popular guys in the team.
Yeah.
I don't operate like that because I'm a real man. I don't think being wrong makes you less knowledgeable about football. Listen, you could sit down with find the most knowledgeable person in the world you know about football and get them to predict things, and 50% of what they predict minimum is going to be wrong. So I don't care about that. And Arteta is proving my initial assessments wrong. I think he's a better manager than I gave him credit for. There's still a reservation over if he's good enough to win league titles, because when you're the manager of Arsenal, if you're not good enough to win a league title, if you're not good enough to get to a Champions League final, then you're not good enough for Arsenal in the long term. But he's improving. So I think Arteta has gone to a different level. He's playing much better football than he used to, as he's built his squad and his identity's come through. And I think that he deserves more time. And the reason I say why he deserves more time is because your trajectory is upwards. What he needs to do this year is make you more consistent against the smaller teams, more competitive and win more points against the bigger sides. And in those gateway games, those tough away fixtures in cup games, those semi-finals and finals, those you can go 6 points clear of Tottenham in the top 4 race today with a win it. Those gateway games. If he does those 3 things this year, then you're on the way to being an elite football manager. Because if you can beat your rivals regularly, batter consistently the lesser teams and the smaller clubs, and in the gateway games, the most important clutch matches, you start winning 60-70% of them. That literally is what an elite level manager is. And that's what he's got to now prove. Because to be an Arsenal manager, the standard's up here. You know, You're not managing Bournemouth, you're not managing Leyton Orient, you're not managing Barnet. You're managing a big Arsenal football club. And that's where sometimes rival fans don't like hearing the pressure. Oh, you can't put that kind of pressure on him. There should be that pressure on Arteta. Ten Hag's is a little different because he's just gone in, but in 18 months' time, I'll be talking like this about about my manager.
You won't be there, but it's all right.
Yeah, well, you think that. But you get my point, though. So look, I think he's proven a lot of people wrong, and that's why I based on my title today. I think this weekend, Arsenal are going to... Every weekend, they will have their little moments where they lose and look poor, because every team does.
Yeah.
But most weekends, Arsenal are going to shut up people. And as I said before, I guarantee you by January, I'm going to have Lee Gunner on Straight Facts saying I was wrong about Arteta.
Oh, my gosh.
He's going to be saying it, people. He's going to be saying, I was wrong. Terry, absorb me of my sins. I'll be there with a can of beer. I'm going to go fly to Spain, can of beer, flicking it around. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Arteta compels you. We're going to exercise Lee Gunner live on the Football Terrace, people. That is what we're going to do. Stop. Do you both not think that Arsenal are a stepping stone club? I see 4 or 5 of your best players leaving in 2 to 4 years. From Terry Webb.
It depends on if we...
Great name, by the way.
If we achieve things or not. I mean, we will lose them if we don't progress. But if we continue to progress, I see them staying. I think they're fully bought in. People didn't think Saliba would come back. He has. Saka's new contract is imminent. A lot of people thought he would leave this summer. So I think ultimately this is your way of saying that we have like 4 or 5 really good players that you think could play at the top level. I do as well. I just think they'll play for Arsenal. Thanks.
Yeah, I if you don't start challenging for titles or being able to win the Champions League, they will leave. Especially someone like Bukayo Saka. But it's controllable by Arsenal. Invest right, keep pushing, and the fans need to keep putting pressure on the club, and not after 12 months sitting there going, "Oh, the Cronkies are amazing, one of the best owners ever. I'm going to start shopping at Asda's more." Asda's is the UK's version of Walmart. I'm going to stop shopping at Walmart and Asda more because I'm going to show support to my owners. They are married into Walmart, right? Your owners. Yeah. Like none of that. Pressure. By the way, if your club's successful, you should still be putting pressure every day upon your owners. This is your football club. It isn't theirs. They might be the stewards and the custodians. It might be in their name, but it's yours. I feel that way about when I lived in the East End. There was like local pubs near me, and pubs are again, I don't know how this works around the rest of the world. I know in Ireland it's fairly similar, and in the UK it is. One of the pubs I used to drink in that was near me was over 600 years old. That pub had been in that local community for 600 years. We didn't care who the owner was or who the landlord was. It was our pub. And we held that landlord accountable to maintain standards. Does that make sense? No riffraff in, affordable prices, good music, clean, tidy. It was his pub. He was a landlord. He owned it, but it was our pub. And that's how you should be treating anything that's community-based. And I know a lot of fans aren't from North London. I know a lot of fans aren't even from England, and that's fine. But uphold the traditional standards that those clubs were built in. And I always use this expression, don't jerk my rice. When Jamie Oliver brought out jerk rice, it was offensive. And some people laughed at it. Some people actually took it really offensively. It was offensive to a culture's food. There's no harm in anyone from any culture can cook anybody's food if you can do it right. But don't butcher it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, don't butcher it. Don't do something that doesn't exist. Same with football. Everyone's allowed to support the club in the way in which that they want. I get that. But you treat the club right. You maintain the standards. You don't have to drink on a match day to be a proper football fan. You don't need to go for a fry up in the morning to be a football fan. You don't even need to be one of the fans that goes to the ground and sings to be a proper Arsenal fan. But what should be universal at Arsenal, Man United, Spurs, Chelsea, Barnet, Orient, Rangers, Celtic, is the standards that your club upholds. The ethos of your football club shouldn't change whether you're born in that town, city, country, continent. It should be universal. And that for me is what should happen at these football clubs. And I'm very passionate about that stuff because where these clubs are built from, these clubs are built by the communities and they should be respected 110%. What's your thoughts on Højbjerg to Real Madrid? What a downgrade. Casemiro to Højbjerg, eh?
That's shocking. Well, their first choice is Bruno Guimaraes. They're on the right track with that, but no Højbjerg. Like, I would just stick with what I got.
It's Friday, Jessica Black. What does that mean?
It's Friday. I don't know what that means.
They reckon you're going to laugh at me.
No.
I'm not chatting shit.
No.
You don't agree with me?
No, I do agree.
Clubs shouldn't be respected.
No, I do agree.
You don't want to respect the working class people.
No, I do agree.
I know you're from the hills of LA and like the working class thing isn't really part of your like.
I do agree.
I'm winding you up. Terry, you are still pushing this defunct pressure on the owners of football clubs, not realizing the position of fans against owners. No, fans control owners. Pull your money away, owners will change. Fans just have got to have the backbone and view love from the right angle. Tough love is real love. Tough love is real love. If your partner puts on a dress and it looks awful, tell her or him. If your daughter says, "Oh, daddy, I want to be a singer, listen to me sing," and she sounds like a cat being neutered without anesthetic, tell her that she isn't a good singer. Do it with tact. Do it with kindness. Do it with compassion. But don't build up people's false hopes. You always control. Human beings have more control over things than they believe. But it's about having the guts, the backbone, and the perseverance to go through with things. You can make your clubs do whatever you want with your actions. Standing in the ground when you're not happy, though, and just cheering aimlessly does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you can prove me wrong, my friend, £10,000 cash to you. £10,000 cash. Fans are more powerful than they look. If you can prove I'm wrong.
All these bets.
No, I'm not. But I'm making these bets because everybody tells me I'm wrong, but nobody wants to come on camera and actually have the debate because they know. I don't care if you're a Bonglahor, any Sky Sports presenter, a Sky presenter, a BT Sports presenter, any YouTuber, any everyday fan like me that wants to come on and debate me on camera, show your face, by the way, and prove to me that fans don't have the power. I'll give you 10 grand in cash. I'm willing to part with my own hard-earned cash. That is how passionate I believe in this. That's how much I believe what I'm saying is true. I believe it until my dying day. You, the people, have. That's what I'm a union man. I'm a union man. Enough is enough. I'm a union man, and unions are powerful if run right. Unions kind of went off the boil for about 15 years in this country. They're on the way back. And God rest his soul, my granddad, he's not been around since the early 90s. He was a proper union man. The stuff he achieved in his lifetime inspires me even now, you know? And there's so much strength in working class people. It's unbelievable. We just don't believe in ourselves. Do you know why? Because the people above us separate us. They put us into loads of different groups. I grew up on a council estate that was highly multicultural. And all we ever got told is we're all different. It's like, no, we're all the same. It doesn't matter that you're from this country, I'm from that country, you're this sex, I'm that sex, I like these kind of people, you like them kind of people. I'm talking in terms of sexual orientation here. We were all the same, working class people from all different parts of the world, and they try and divide and conquer us. We all need to stay together. And people go, oh, this is football, Terry, talk football. This is football. Football is culture in this country. Football is culture in Spain, in Italy, in Brazil, in Argentina, just to name a few countries. They are all interconnected. Yes, I support a club that isn't from my local community, and that's the beauty of the modern day world, where we get insight into cities and countries and nations that we didn't many years ago. That's why things change, and that's the beauty. That's some of the beauty of technology. But we have more power than we believe in the way our local communities are run, our football clubs are run, our councils are run. We have so much power. We've just got to be willing to yield it. And I'll stand by that until the day I die. I really, really will.
Amen.
Angry aunt. Angry aunties can be scary, bruv. They really, really can. My aunt was. There we go. Comrade Terry. Don't call me a comrade, though, because I don't believe in communism. Like, there's a borderline here. I don't believe in that. But there we go. Listen, people, I really do appreciate the support you give the Football Terrace. I really, really do. Okay.
Not Terry Luther King.
Yeah.
Don't blow his head up. Don't blow his head up.
Listen, I'm going to say this with real due respect. I know it's a joke, but don't put my name next to one of the greatest men in the history, in human history. Don't do that, please. Not at all. It's funny. There's a few people doing it. Listen, Original Base Annie. By the way, if you guys need a really good cake, hit up my guy, Original Base Annie. Guy makes the best cakes I've ever eaten in my life. You know, it's really funny. My granddad is a big union man. Used to say I was going to be prime minister when I was younger. The irony is, I wish I was old enough to have spoke back to him and gone, listen, I'm working class and I'm dyslexic. There's no way I'm going to become prime minister. But thank you. Big granddad is what we called him. Big reason because my dad's mum and dad were quite tall. So they were called Big Nan and Granddad. My mum's parents were quite short. So they were Little Nan and Granddad. So yeah, Big Granddad, big up yourself. The only thing I think he'd be disappointed in me in is that I didn't choose to support West Ham, which he did. Because he's from West Ham. He's from like the East Ham area, but there we go. I digress massively. I miss my grandparents. They were great people. Terry pontificating about nothing. Well, if you think what I'm talking about is nothing, I feel a bit sorry for you, me old mate. And don't think I don't know what pontificating means. I may not be very good at spelling words because I'm dyslexic, but my comprehension of the English language is astounding. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Listen, people, until next time, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. Big love, Jess. Thank you very much. As always an impeccable guest on Straight Facts and the Football Terrace. Big love to each and every single one of you. Football's back tomorrow. I love when the football's on.